Celebrated every year across Africa, the day serves as a platform for public service organizations to showcase and reward excellence in the public service in order to promote and sustain quality in service delivery. This year's celebration will be held from 21st to 23rd June at the KICC under the theme Celebrating Public Service Transformation, 10-Year Journey and Beyond.
Please show mercy. Please show mercy, my queen. My queen.
Take her away. You know what to do.
We both know the real problem is that you can't have a healthy baby.
Who are you?
I'm Lady Betsy of Green Hill.
Bado hajaondoka?
Wala sioni kama ataondoka.
Wakili, uoni haya ukitangatanga kwenye compound yangu kama yako?
Tutoke hapa turudi kwetu nyumbani babe.
Siondoki, nimekuja kwetu kukaa. Sawa Siondoki na wewe.
You remember I promised you nitakufungulia idara mpya?
Yes.
And these are the keys to your office.
But sidhani kama walimwengu watafurahia watakachokiona. Wakijua kuhusu siri yako wewe na Lea. Enjoy work.
All right, a very good evening and thank you so much for keeping it KBC Channel 1. Indeed, we are coming to you live from Fairmont, the Norfolk Hotel right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. And we are just about to have a very important conversation that touches on how the country is preparing for the 2022 general election that is just less than 50 days to go. And we are going to be looking at the role of the media, the so-called fourth estate, in informing the electorate when it comes to making decisions in this particular election. So we're going to be discussing the presidential debate, the upcoming presidential debate that is slated to be taking place in the month of July. Why is it important? What are the issues that will be forming this particular debate, and what are some of the fundamental principles that guide such kind of a debate? And in the overall of it all, how does it inform the populace in making informed decisions when it comes to who is going to be the next president? Of course, I'll be engaging a panel of three gentlemen who will be dissecting the significance of such debates in our country, the role they have played, and what has been done to make this particular one different in just a bit. But that is what is to be expected, Tom. And of course, we will be getting back here, when that time comes at exactly 10. All right. So let's kickstart this straight away. Of course, like I told you, it's less than 50 days to the general election, exactly 48 days to the August polls. It's a season of official campaign. And of course, we have been treated to a lot of drama and theatrics on this particular campaign trail as different candidates traverse different parts of the country to take their charm offensive and, of course, to woo the electorate and tell them why they need to be elected in the August polls. And amidst this noise, what we may probably miss is the vision that each and every candidate carry. We may also miss how they plan to make this vision practical. We may also miss how they plan to make it sustainable. So that is why we are going to be focusing on how do we have a conversation that will help us look at some of the vision of some of these candidates, and of course also, who among the people who are vying for these seats is ready to offer what Kenya needs. Of course, I'll be engaging a panel of three gentlemen, and allow me to bring them in as we talk about the presidential debate 2022, a controlled platform that is going to be looking at what Kenya needs and who is ready to offer that. And of course, I'll just introduce my panel. Sitting on at the far left there, we have engineer Ruben Liala. He's a political analyst, and his passion for leadership has also seen him vie for a political seat. Engineer Ruben is also the founder and CEO of Robusta Limited, and I can go on and on about you, but thank you, sir, for creating time for us.
Pleasure, Serfine.
All right, and we have right at the middle there, Clifford Mashoka. He's the head of the 2022 Presidential Debate Secretariat. Clifford joined the Nation Media Group in January 2016 as the head of Corporate and Regulatory Affairs. In July 2020, he was appointed head of External Affairs and Marketing. In May 2022, Clifford was reassigned back to head the External Affairs Department. Thank you, Clifford.
Thank you very much.
And we have Dr. Charles Mbugua. He's a leadership consultant, director of strategy at the County Government and Management Consultancy Services, has been pivotal also as the managing director at Zintex Consulting Limited. And I can go on and on, but courtesy of time, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for creating time for us.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd like us to begin from a general perspective, something that will help our viewers understand why we're here today. And let's begin by just you, Clifford, telling us a bit about the Presidential Debate Secretariat, its genesis, and its key mandate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Serfine, and thank you for having us here. The Presidential Debates has now become what you can call a big tradition as part of our electoral cycle. And we started the presidential debates in 2013. I think all of us saw we had almost 8 presidential candidates. Must have been the longest presidential debate we've had. In 2017, we had another round of presidential debates, and this year we're also organizing it. Presidential debates is something that is very important for an election, but also very important for an electoral cycle. And for us, the genesis of this was just to ensure that we create a platform where we promote issue-based elections and where we remove the political rhetoric and start dealing with the issues that really matter to Kenyans, whether it's issues of education, governance, corruption, name it. And so that genesis then sort of created that impetus for media to be able to come on board and say, how can we be able to create such a platform where we bring the political contenders so that they can be able to dissect and decipher issues that really matter to Kenyans. And I think we've now organized it for over 10 years. This year is different because for the last 2 presidential elections, we have organized as Media Owners Association. This year we've come together as media industry. And that's why you see that it's a partnership between the Media Owners Association, the Media Council of Kenya, who's the regulator, and the Kenya Editors Guild. And the whole idea was to make it as inclusive as possible and as representative as possible. We started this process for over 1 year now, organizing it, talking about it, seeing opportunities there. And we're at very advanced stages. One of the things that we have done is to ensure that we continuously engage the presidential candidates so that we can map their expectations and their requirements. And now that we know how many presidential candidates there is, I think those consultations are ongoing, and Kenyans should expect a quality presidential debate, a debate that will capture their aspirations and the issues that really matter to them.
All right, and we look at, so far how you seek to achieve that as we continue this conversation. But just to borrow from both your experiences, Dr. and the engineer, let me start with you, engineer. Looking at what Clifford has described as the genesis of this particular presidential debate journey, on a general perspective, what do you think is the significance or the value add of having such controlled conversation as we are in a season such as the one we are in, a political season such as the one we are in?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. My brother, you're doing a good job. We want to commend you. Looking at our country today, we want to make our democracy as a part of our culture in a stable way. And we cannot add value to democracy if we are not able to try and separate selfishness or let me say selfish ambition from now the issues that really matter to our country. So if you ask me, I will tell you it is phenomenon. It is significant in the sense that our citizen gets to separate the ambition of an individual from actually the leadership that he brings on the table. And in so doing, you realize that we will be making strides in the right direction, at least for democracy. So it's a fabulous idea. And I'll tell you, whoever wouldn't buy it, I don't think he has the interest of the country at heart. Yes.
Dr. Your sentiments as well, the media taking initiative and deciding to really drive this whole process and helping Kenyans make informed decisions in an electoral period such as this. What do you think is the outcome or the impact of this particular move?
Thank you very much. And once again, thank you for sticking your neck out in a very important exercise, and therefore setting a critical pace as far as media leadership is concerned. So back to you. A key thing that is coming out of this is the fact that, in line with the essence of deepening our democracy, then we are seeing media play a vital role in civic leadership. Why? Because we've had a lot of noise when we look at the campaigns that we have across the country. But we've not been able to interrogate from a very serious platform the visions that the individual leaders do have, and by extension, the visions that the political leadership of those coalitions then do have. Now, once we go to the balcony and then ask them those questions one at a time, interrogate, have a conversation where all Kenyans are glued to their TV stations or radios and can listen, then you can rest assured we shall have enhanced what would be termed as a knowledgeable approach toward decision making, courtesy of the kind of surgery that the questions will undertake as far as the individuals are concerned.
Right.
And what the significance? Then the significance is that we shall have more informed and better informed decision making in terms of the men and women who will be in charge of our national assets, of the generations to come, and that cannot be left to chance. So to me, that conversation by media becomes key.
All right, Clifford, let's talk about that surgery that he has alluded to. I mean, the presidential debate comes towards the end of the campaign season, and I'll probe you later on why this is the case. But I want to know what are the steps or process of planning such a debate, even as we head towards the 2022 presidential debate. What does it take? What has been happening in the back room, and how far are we in that particular curve when it comes to this particular debate?
Yeah, a lot goes into the planning of the presidential debates. And why is that so? It's a momentous occasion. In 2017, if you look at, and Dr. has just said it, being able to bring Kenyans together and to be glued on screen, we had 19 million viewership and listenership. Just being able to see and listen to what is happening. This year, we're looking at a possibility of around 40 million
viewers.
Kenyans viewing and listening on both viewing on TV, listening on radio, and you're just not even mentioning the digital aspect. I think 5 years ago and 5 years now, we've made so much strides in terms of our digital transformation. We're able to show not only the continent, not only the region, but also the global community on what our leaders have to say about our country. What is the process of planning? A lot is going in. One of the key things that you see, other than just organizing the event and the logistical issues, is just being able to, it's a consultative process, being able to consult and talk to the presidential candidates. And it's not a one-time affair, because you also realize that they have a lot of expectations. There's a lot of issues that come out, such as moderators, bias. Is it going to happen on a platform of objectivity and fairness? And our work in the back or behind the scenes is to give them that confidence that the presidential debates is a platform for you to be able to come on board in a very intellectual manner, talk about these issues. And I think Daktari and also Engineer have said it. If you look out here, there's a lot of noise. None of us know what do you have to say about education? What do you have to say about health? And our work then in the back end is there's a lot of research that goes into it, a lot of being able to touch the pulse of Kenyans. What are the things and issues that really matter to them? And so one of the things that you will see happening is a public participation process where Kenyans can be able to send questions, say, you know, I'm coming from Teso. In Teso, the issues that really matter to us is, let's say, health. We do not have ABCD. I'm coming from Lamu. The issue that really matter to us is this. What do you have to say about this? So there's aspects of research, data, being able to talk to the candidates, and that's a very consultative process. But even more importantly, let's remember that this is not a debate that is being done by one media house. I believe that every 5 years, the only time you will see all of us coming together as media house.
Sitting on one table.
Sitting on one table, removing aspects of competition, removing aspects of any perceptions that we have against each other is the presidential debate. So I call it the Super Bowl event. It's the only time every 5 years that you will see only one event in all our stations
at the same time.
At the same time. And it's powerful. Why is it powerful? There's a clear message that we're sending not only to the outside world, but it's a clear message we're sending in terms of our democracy. If you look at across the continent, Kenya is most probably one of, if you look at the statistics, maybe the only country that organizes successful presidential debates. Many have tried to organize it, Somalia, Gambia, Benin, and they failed. And that shows you, and I think Engineer mentioned it, it shows you the strides that you're making in terms of our democracy. It also shows you how we can be able to take the first step in showing this continent, showing our region. Remember, in this region, Kenya is called the haven of peace. And we're not called the haven of peace by sheer coincidence or by sheer chance. If you look around our neighbors, there's so much that's happening in terms of conflict. We're now dealing with a conflict in DRC. There's a conflict in Somalia. There's a conflict in some part of different countries. And just being able to show that model and show that example is very important. And if you see, Kenya is also taking a lead in terms of providing or spearheading peace efforts across this region. All right.
Yeah. So many questions are in my mind right now concerning what you've just said, and I'm trying to categorize them. Let me begin with the issue of having a debate that is inclusive, that is objective, that is representative. That is one of your objectives. That is what you seek to achieve.
Yes.
I want to look at the ideal, and this is where you both gentlemen come in. First of all, let me start with you, Engineer. As somebody who has been part of this political process, assuming you were targeted for such a debate to appear and get the opportunity to use that platform to tell Kenyans what your vision is, what would be your expectations about what is described as an inclusive, representative, and objective debate, political debate? Ideally, you may.
Kenya,
so that we see whether it fits.
Kenya being Kenya, one, I wouldn't expect fairness.
For real?
But one thing.
Clifford is here assuring us.
Yes, he's here.
You want to say we can't achieve that?
I want to put it like exactly how I would feel about it. I wouldn't go there expecting fairness. First of all, it doesn't exist in politics. All these people who will be interviewing me, in one way or another, have a candidate who could be me or somebody else. But the sweet thing about the whole exercise is I get to show my country this is what I'm bringing on the table. And it's for that reason that I say, if I get any one of us politician who is not buying that idea, then he's too selfish to even be granted a platform of leadership in this country. Yes.
You didn't expect fairness. Anyway, just to clarify, and Clifford is here to help me as a colleague in the profession. Yes, we have our preferred candidates, as all of us, even the ones moderating these interviews, but we are guided by a code of ethics that would actually really help you when you're doing such an interview. So,
but you see, my sister, I'll tell
you wouldn't let your personal biases.
In politics, as politicians, we are not crybabies, and we don't come to you hoping that you are going to give us some soft landing.
Yes.
So any of them is not expecting that, unless he doesn't know what politics is. Yes, somebody somewhere will still play a hidden card for you.
I hope that's not some of the points.
But it's not a bad thing, Clifford. It's not a bad thing either way.
Just to tell us and assure us how you seek to avert some of the, anticipated
the concerns.
fears.
Yeah.
I think,
But it's also fair that you chip in. Ideally speaking, if we are to get value for such an important platform, how should it be structured?
Thank you very much. One, culture is a very critical component when you are to bring on board different actors who must gel in the first place. And significantly so, when they are coming together, is viewed by those who will be interviewed from a negative perspective. And so that component of fairness needs to become a culture across how media certainly practices media, because that's very important.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't wait, for example, 45 years for us to bring on board such. And it gives us an opportunity, for example, from that aspect of a fear of fairness, to start some of these activities fora early enough. But let's go to the next point of inclusion. Inclusion is one of our national values. For media then to showcase it, it will be taking its foot forward in terms of making sure that we can contextualize national values in such kind of an exercise. How can it be then become practical? Number one, each of the candidates may be having a closet that they may not want brought on board. But do we have the emotional intelligence as media in terms of the moderation, preparation, and understanding these candidates to make sure that even as we question an individual in terms of corruption, for example, it is asked in a manner that is quite objective, not subjective, and that it cuts across, if then it is a theme that is a threat to the future of this nation. So how it's done, and it's relevant to what would be termed as the aspirations of the founding fathers of this nation and the generations to come, becomes very, very important. That's from that angle. But then we need to look at the other angle. Inclusivity is not just from within that component. It is also by being able to have a conversation, a dialogue with the candidates in terms of the role of this kind of a debate, not in terms of shaming them or naming them, but indeed in terms of them getting so many hours of time to truly win what would be termed as votes, and tell Kenyans away from the chaos of campaigns, this is whom I am. This is what I am offering. To me, from the two sides of that sword, that is what now should be looked at from a very emphatic perspective.
One thing that is exciting about this is that it gives Kenyans a chance to see what is on the table for them all at the same time. All the candidates come at the same time, and they get an opportunity, or on the same day at least, they get an opportunity to tell Kenyans what they have to offer. And Kenyans are sort of like in a supermarket, and they choose what is working for them. What is it that we are looking for? What is our need? And who among this gentleman or ladies is willing to offer that? This is one thing that excites me about this debate. But then let me just come back to you on that fear, that concern, and I'll take you on history back, Kidogo, on this. And in 2017, there was gubernatorial debates that were organized in different counties, at least in Mombasa County outside. There's one, the Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations organized a a gubernatorial debate in Mombasa County. This is just one example, but not all the candidates showed up. In fact, the incumbent and another candidate didn't show up, and we've seen this cut across in different counties. The same year, there was the presidential debate. At some point, the incumbent president and his closest challenger also skipped the debate and cited concerns about the change in the format. Right now, we are heading to the 2022 presidential debate. Recently, we had concerns from one of the political players, and they're saying they may not attend this particular debate for what they termed media bias.
Yes.
I mean, how are you seeking to address these fears and concerns that even engineers cited earlier? What assurance can you give Kenyans that we are not going to have a repeat of the boycotts?
I think what is very clear for us, and it's the reason why in 2017 we came up with what is called the Presidential Debate Guidelines. And the Presidential Debate Guidelines look at most probably 4 or 5 key areas. One is, what are the guiding principles of the debates? And I'm very happy that Dr. has mentioned aspects of inclusivity, aspects of our national values. Those debates were actually made public, and we publish it across all our platforms. Why was that important? That was important because that was our promise to Kenyans. This is how these debates will be governed, and this is how the debates will be conducted. The Presidential Debate Guidelines looks at aspects of fairness, objectivity, and they have the guiding principles. Those guiding principles have been derived from the Constitution as our principles when we actually organize the debates. The debate guidelines also look at the criteria for who will participate in the debates. They also look at the criteria of who will be a moderator. And if you look at the criteria of who will be the moderator, we'll look at aspects of a moderator who has shown some impartiality, fairness, who will also show objectivity, who understands the political landscape in Kenya, who does not have or has not been seen showing preference to one candidate or another. And you can see this. If today you go to my Twitter handle or my social media, you can see if maybe I have preference for engineer, right? Now, I cannot have preference for engineer and then moderate a debate with engineer.
Conflict of interest.
Or there'll be that conflict of interest. So that's actually a matter of a public document. We will still be able to share that with Kenyans, and I think Kenyans understand the debate guidelines. But I think more importantly is one of the things that removes bias is also the fact that these debates are not organized by one media house. These debates are organized across media houses. So if you look at the Secretariat is not formed by KBC or formed by Nation Media Group or formed by Standard Group. The Secretariat has media industry, including the Media Sector Working Group. And one of the things this time around also we have done is to ensure that when you look at aspects of maybe the questions or areas of focus, it's actually looked at by a panel of editors who come across the media industry. Why is that important? If he has preference for one candidate and he says, I think you should focus on corruption, I'm sure engineer also will come and say, no, why only corruption? Let's focus on education. That removes that aspect of bias. And I think if you look at the culture of debates, it's very interesting. When we started in 2013, this country had no culture of debates. Let's come to 2022. We now have gubernatorial debates in most of the counties. We now have senatorial debates. And we've just seen a couple of months or weeks ago where even resident associations are calling their MCAs to town halls and telling them, sit there, tell us what you have to say about your ward. What are you going to do differently for us to be able to cast our vote for you? So one of the things that we gain a lot of pride in is that the culture of debate has gained some level of roots. And even while we go for that presidential, we already see what is happening. Our citizens now no longer take it for granted that you will stand as Clifford. We do not know who you are, but no, we have to hear what you have to bring on the table.
All right, Clifford.
And maybe just to finish is to just say that You know, one of the things that for us were very clear is that this is a culture that we're embedding in our democracy. And yes, in 2017, I think we saw that the incumbent did not come, but the closest challenger came for the debate. But one of the things that Kenyans appreciated is the debate went on, whether the incumbent came or did not come. Why was that important? Because we're not doing this for individuals. We're doing this for our country, and we're doing this for Kenyans, and that culture needs to continuously be embedded. And we also gain from the history that in 2013, all of them came. Remember, when you look at aspects of debate, when you come to what you call midterm, debates can be a little bit dicey because the incumbent might feel that, maybe all the guns will be, directed towards me.
Yeah.
But I think 2022 is also a different year. We do not have an incumbent. Every particular candidate needs to bring to the table what they're going to tell Kenyans.
All right. Clifford, let's do this. I'll come back to you so that you talk to me about the format and what principles you're using to inform how the debate is going to be conducted, the time, and who is going to be part of which debate when we come back from this break. But he says the debate still continues, whether the candidates come, all of them, or somebody decides to ditch, it will still go on, because it's not about the person, it's about the value and why you're doing that particular debate. All right, so we'll come back from this particular break just to discuss more on the presidential debate 2022, its significance, how far we've gone when it comes to planning for this, and what are some of the issues that we should be focusing on even as we prepare as Kenyans to be part and parcel of this debate. That conversation coming back after the break. Do stay with us. Plus, remember, right here on KBC Channel 1, tomorrow, 10 p.m., we have our own version of the gubernatorial debates that continue. We've been running this for quite a while, so you can also stand by for that. As we take the break, do stay with us. We're coming back with much more.
Top sports attractions on KBC Channel 1. In July, Kenya Morans face off against the DRC, Egypt and Senegal in the FIBA Basketball World Cup African qualifiers in Alexandria, Egypt from 1st to 3rd of July 2022. Also in July, Kenya plays South Africa in Rugby League test matches in Nairobi with a return fixture set for October. Still in July, watch the World Athletic Championships from 15th to 24th July live from Oregon, USA, as Kenyan athletes seek glory. Followed by the 22nd Commonwealth Games from 28th July to 8th August, live from Birmingham, England. In August, join our coverage of the World Athletics Under-20 Championships from the 1st to 6th of August 2022 from Cali, Colombia. Then, in November, catch the World Half Marathon Championships on 13th November from Yangzhou, China. Now that's what sets us apart as KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Jamaica, Jamaica, big up the farmer them for acres and acres. And me I tell you we don't left the creator.
Mama, don't you cry. Big man, dry your eye. Ooh, teach your son if it's not destroy where every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. God damn you so much, you're no right.
Napozama kwa tatizo oja, ngori na bala haziwezi kwa reality. Tide is high but I'm holding on. I'm gonna be your number one.
My queen, please Please show mercy. Please show mercy, my queen. My queen.
Take her away. You know what to do.
We both know the real problem is that you can't have a healthy baby.
Who are you?
I'm Lady Betsy of Green Hill.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Of course, we continue with tonight's edition of Kenya Decides. We're helping you make informed decisions when it comes to the August polls. Tonight, we're talking about presidential debates at 2022. A controlled platform that is aimed at helping you decide on who among the 4 candidates who have come out to express their interest to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta will better serve your interest as a Kenyan. Of course, the role played by the media to just bring them on board for them to explain what their vision is and also break it down on how they plan on making it practical and sustainable. And I've been having this conversation with a panel of 3 gentlemen. And of course, just to run you through who they are, I'm having Clifford Mashoka. Just allow me run you through who I'm having tonight. I'm having Clifford Mashoka is the head of the Presidential Debates Secretariat. And of course, this particular night, I'm also having on board engineer. Let me just take you through that. I don't want to get this wrong. Shortly. There we go. All right, so I'm having engineer Ruben Liala. He's a political analyst and of course the founder and CEO of Robust Limited. And we have Dr. Charles Mbugua. He's a leadership consultant, director and strategy at County Government Management Consultancy Services. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for staying with us. Now, before we took the break, Clifford, we were talking about the presidential debate 2022 and how it's guided to make sure that each and every person who is participating in this feels like they're included and it's representative of the nation and its interest. And before I just bring the gentleman on board, just tell me a bit about the format of this particular debate. We've had before, the first one, all the 8 candidates came on board and they were part of a big debate that was won. Yeah. In 2017, there was a different arrangement, which I believe was informed by something. Yeah. What are we looking at when it comes to 2022? Are we going to have all the 4 in one platform, or what are we looking at?
Yeah. So I'll go back. Sorry, I'll go back to the presidential debate guidelines, and as I said, this is a matter of public document. And the format that we took in 2017 is that there is a threshold through which you can participate in the presidential debates. And that threshold then allows you to participate in what you call the main debate. The ones who don't hit that threshold then participate in another debate. And that threshold is about 5%. The debate is 90 minutes, 1.5 hours, divided into 3 parts. And it's continuous, except when you're taking breaks. And what you will see in 2017 is that we organized a deputy or running mate debate and a presidential debate. Mm-hmm. This year, what we're doing differently is that we're organizing the Nairobi gubernatorial debate. We'll organize the deputy presidential debate, and we'll also organize the presidential debate. So we'll have 3 debates that are organized by the presidential debates 2022.
Mm-hmm. Looking at, is it 1 hour? You said 1 hour?
90 minutes, 90, so 1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
Yes.
I mean, do you think it's a bit, much of a wait? Let's say tentatively 1 hour, 30 minutes. Is it enough to address all the issues that Kenyans need to know to help them make informed decision from where you sit?
I wouldn't mark that sheet because I believe the team that is working on this is an elaborate team, experience. Like my brother puts it, they've done a bit of research. So I know they must be comparing our ways with lots of other countries who've equally succeeded in doing that. So I think it will be a blow that I shouldn't shoot to question the amount of time that they should access. But going back to my issue of fairness.
I thought he addressed your fears and concerns.
If you allow me.
You're not satisfied?
If you allow me.
All right,
you
go
see,
ahead.
it's so much a media-based exercise, but it's equally a political exercise. Wouldn't it also augur well for an institution like PPLC, which came in because of post-election, and it's been playing its part? It is a tripartite institution where IEBC is part of PPLC, the political parties liaison committee, and then all parties are part of that particular institution, and the register of political party. So then you see the caucus that comes with this institution, you rarely would see probably say a candidate say is not coming when it is politicians who are saying no, this is the right way. You get it? Yeah, so for me, I believe the inclusivity is there. Actually, I'm not undoing what they've already done. I'm just saying that they can push it a little bit higher. Yes.
Dr. Mbogo, I'm coming to you. I just want him to respond very quickly to that.
Yeah.
Is it possible to open it up to go beyond the stakeholders in the media?
And actually, it has been opened up. As in, if you look at who we've been engaging, it's not only media. We've been engaging civil society, and you will see them represented there, religious leaders, IBC, different parties. I think the role that media is playing is just organizing, not to say to the exclusion of everyone else. This is not a club that then just says, you know, unless you're media, then you cannot be part of it. We've had very many organizations come on board and say, I would like to be part of it, including youth groups. And one of the things for us, we're very clear, is that this debate is not a media debate. This debate is a debate for everyone. And therefore, whoever is coming on board, they're welcome. There are more people who have come on board, and they're actually part of it. They are informing so many things. They're informing what are the issues that matter to Kenyans. They're informing, is it possible to do it differently, one or two ways? They have informed, how do we go about our public participation? So it's more than just media. I think the role that media is playing is just setting the platform. But once you set the platform does not belong to media. The platform belongs to everyone.
All right, so Dr. Mbogo, I wanted to combine both their concerns there. What I get from this is more or less striking a balance between the goal of objectivity that the media actually wants to really adhere to, and what we know about politics. Politics is about interests. You can't run away from interest when you're talking about politics. So here you have objectivity, here you have people who have interests that they want to push. How do you balance between these two? What would would be your advice to that?
Thank you very much, and thank you, gentlemen, engineer and Clay, for this. Is a very good debate, conversation to be precise. That is getting deeper into the modus operandi of where we are in regard to the presidential debate. But the key thing here is that there is the art and science of inclusivity. And I think that's what you're trying to look at. Number one, the art here has been well brought on board by a media council and other practitioners within all the members of the Fourth Estate who have been brought on board. The science of making sure that what we are measuring through the questions that we are bringing on board must be above board. So that indeed then it reflects, number one, the aspirations of the Kenyan people, from now the mirror of those who will be responding. And so having an equally inclusive audience that could even then also question becomes very, very important, so that representation across diverse groups then is able to showcase inclusivity. But even as these questions then are asked, they must be moderated so that we have decorum, so that we have got respect, because respect is a critical component within our national values. And that way then the culture that we would like to have of having conversations pertaining to the desired end state of what we shall bring on board as the leadership becomes a very important part of the heartbeat of the culture that you're bringing on board. Yeah. So these two gentlemen, great men, plus what you are asking, then is illuminating where we should be in July by making sure that if there are any dots, any I's to be dotted or any T's to be crossed, then as media, that needs to be done as we move on. Because I believe day in, day out, there are a few lessons that we can learn. That's how I put it.
Yeah. How do you create a platform to allow the players express their interest without getting caught up in it? That's the big question that I believe we are asking at this moment. But let's move on in the interest of time. Just look at something else also. There's the big issue that is on the table is what are the issues that need to inform this election? What is it that is of interest for Kenyans? Before I get to Clifford to tell me more a bit about how they've gone about crafting this messaging that they will be probing the candidates on, I just want both of you to tell me a bit about, from where you sit looking at the candidates, let's put it in context, the candidates and the 2022 political dynamics, and even the state of our country right now, what is it that you feel is close to the heart of Kenyans, representative of the entire nation, that as you watch that presidential debate, you don't want the moderator to wind it up before they touch on those fundamental issues? Let's start with you.
Thank you. I think if that debate will be devoid of personalizing issues, and then it touched on the unity of this country, for me, we will have scored big, because I watched the two debates, but the competition was about who is brilliant and who has done more faults. So then it is a competition of words of who can defend himself better than the other. And at the end of the day, the analysis will be who was good. You get it. But for me, I think we are at a point as a country where we also need to stop complaining and look at ourselves for who we truly are as Kenyans, and acknowledge when leaders are doing stuffs that are right. Like, for example, there was a time in this country where the campaign main agenda was just infrastructure. So Kibaki would stand and say infrastructure, infrastructure. And Raila too would also stand and say infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Then Kenyans, here we are given infrastructure by Uhuru and we're still bickering. And then we go for the debate and it becomes an issue of somebody defending himself over something that he has done really perfectly well. I think if we approach the debate on issues and unity be part of the main agenda, then for me, I think we'll have scored.
What would you want your next president, if they will be standing on that podium, to talk about? What issues do you want them to convince you on? What areas are you looking at as a voter?
I will tell you, challenges in Kenya are very geographical. The challenges that coastal people are facing are very different from the challenges, for example, that the mountain guys are facing. So I know if we are going for the issues, unity will be paramount only if all of us feel like our issues actually are on the table and they're being addressed. So I know we need better health, we need education, we need all this stuff. We need to probably get more opportunities based on how the policies will be crafted from those specific governments. But I can tell you, for me, if we stick together, like if in this case, my candidate, Raila, if he's able to stand,
to do that.
I'm sorry, if he's able to stand with our opponent, the vice president, and they can confess to the country, regardless of how this election goes, we will stand together for the unity of the country. I will accept the result. I will use the right channels. You get it. So that the country is bigger than these individuals who are within their rights to vie.
Well said, Engineer.
Yes.
What would be those issues that you feel are really hot for this 2022 general election, specifically speaking, that must be addressed on that platform?
Thank you, Serfine. Now, this is an interesting one, indeed a complex one, because now we are putting ourselves into that particular position. As far as that fellow Kenyan who is in Kiwayu, in Lamu, or in Lafe, Mandera is concerned, in terms of the aspirations of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Very well. If then, as Engineer has said, we have got unity, that unity of purpose, coupled with a presidential candidate then who can deliver what would be termed as patriotism within this country, that would be great. But palpating to feel what Kenyans today are talking about, majority have got the issue pertaining to our economy. That indeed a basic need like food, we can't meet it for a number of families. Then it means that even as they get health and education, at times it doesn't make much sense. So if we have got unity of purpose, coupled with patriotism, selflessness, to a point of sacrificing for the sake of motherland, then we see how we can deliver a vibrant economy, a role of national government, and even a role of county governments, because own source revenue of county government is what I would want to hear from a presidential candidate, together with the governors that they have. That then would resonate with the majority of the heartbeats of Kenyans in regard to the hope, and hope indeed, in terms of the fact that majority feel a bit hopeless.
All right.
So that is what I would like addressed.
All right.
On behalf of very many Kenyans.
The state of the economy, that's a big one. That's a big issue for many Kenyans today. I don't expect Clifford to give me what they call the Mwakenya of what is there on the questions that are going to be asked, unless you want to be generous enough to do that. But
no, I was actually going to say that, you know, media is a reflection of society.
Yeah.
And I'm very privileged to be among two gentlemen who are the pulse of this country.
Yeah.
And I think our role is always to listen to them and bring them on board as some of the issues that then can be brought to the fore in the debates. So I will not be at a place to say, you know, we're going to ask ABC.
Exactly my point.
But,
I wasn't expecting you to do that.
What I'll be here is I'm very glad to be able to listen to what they say.
But what I'm interested in, though, is the process that you touched on this earlier, but just to clarify, the process that goes in coming up with the talking points, the things that are going to shape the debate, that should be representative of the entire nation, including even the concern that was raised by Engineer here, that what the people in Kilifi need is not what the people in Bungoma may need. It may not be the same thing that the people in Nairobi need. So how do you capture all this in one single debate? Yeah.
I think we have a lot of processes. We have a research and data desk that looks at what is happening, what's the pulse of the country. We are maybe at an opportune level in terms of we report about these issues every day. And therefore, in one or another, we sort of get that pulse. But there's something that Engineer said, engineer asked, how do you bring on board other actors in society? And I think Dr. also mentioned it. These actors in our society are able to inform some of these things that really matter to Kenyans. And one of the key things that we're doing is ensuring a clear public participation where Kenyans themselves will be able to tell us what really matters to them in different fora, whether it is through text messages, whether it is through videos, whether it is through questions, and all those will be captured as the real issues. I think it's very important to also mention that I know engineer mentioned, aspect of fairness. All candidates are always provided for with the areas of focus before they come to the debate. Why? Because it's very important for you to be able to know these are the 7 areas that will be asked, so that you're not told the questions, but you know that, whether it's economy or education or cost of living, and then being able to come on board and say, okay, on this particular aspect, this is what I have to bring to the table. And those areas of focus are then shared with the candidates. They prepare very well on how they are, on what they're going to say. But what is very important for Kenyans to know is that the only person who knows the questions is the moderator.
The moderator?
Yes. Not even myself, no one. And the reason why that is important is just to remove...
Look at his body language. It's like I can't believe that.
No,
that's what he's saying, essentially.
Whether it was in 2013...
this culture of lack of trust.
I'm lucky that I was part of 2017 and now I'm part of 2022. No one knows the questions. Why is that important? You remove that aspect where Clifford will come and say, I think you should ask Daktari this question. No. The areas of focus are very clear. Kenyans will know about them, but the questions will only be asked by the moderators.
Something he said, and this is on a light note, he already alluded to who his preferred candidate is. Yes. Many are asking, why towards the end of the campaign trail though? Because at this time, I want to believe a majority of Kenyans have already made their choice. They've already decided who they want to vote for. Yeah. Even at this point, a good example is engineer here. Yeah. So when you have such a debate towards the tail end of the process, what is it that you're looking at? Is it possible to bring it forward a little bit?
The debates have most probably 4 key objectives. One objective is to be able to drive issue-based elections. So, I think one of the things that the esteemed gentlemen here have said is there's so much noise. Whether you're going closer to the elections or not, there's so much noise, but there is no real issues that come out. The debates are able to bring out the issues. Number 2, one of the things that the debates do is to be able to tone down the high stakes. We underestimate that when you see the 2 gentlemen or the 4 gentlemen in front there standing together, it means unity. Right now, everyone is in very different corners doing their rallies, but the debates bring them together. When you shake the other person's hand, you demystify the presidency, you demystify these individuals, and there's some level of unity that we show the country. Very important, because most of the time the stakes are too high. You almost feel that people are enemies, but they're not. We all belong to this country. And I think the third aspect that the debates also do is that as of just this last weekend, we still saw that you have 4.4 million undecided voters. So not all of us have made our call and have decided. Right. And sometimes I've decided, but when I hear how engineer is talking about it, I'm like, okay. Well, I think I've now confirmed. So it also provides that opportunity for Kenyans to make informed choices, even the ones who are undecided.
Thank you so much. I want us to wind it up by just giving you all a round of your final remarks. We have a few minutes left. Let me start with you, engineer.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to have sat with brilliant brothers here. I think there's too much hope for this country. Yes, there was a time actually I would look at our space and I would see a lot was going south. But with these brains and all that we are talking about, I think we are on the right trajectory as a country. So I commend your job, what you people are doing. Yes, I hope others will also see the value to the sweat that they are putting in for the sake of the unity of this country, and even to motivate other people to look at our country in a patriotic way, as Dr. puts it well. Yes, having said that, I think if I went beyond that, a name of my candidate might slip out of my mouth.
Don't even add a word. All right, Dr. Charles Mbugo, what opportunities, if a Kenyan is watching you, what opportunities must they not miss in this upcoming presidential debate?
Thank you very much. Decision making from an evidence-based perspective of interaction with a candidate is critical. And looking at those candidates straight into their faces as they answer, or listening to their voices, respond to the questions that will have been put across, will be of utmost significance. And that therefore it would be wrong for he, she, who considers himself, herself, themselves patriots of this nation, to miss a moment to interrogate from within themselves, so that as they make those decisions, including the 4.4 million who haven't, then they wouldn't say that they have anybody to blame. It is a moment that is momentous, and each one of us must grab it if we truly love and value our motherland.
And
Thank you.
This goes also to the candidates, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Clifford, you get the opportunity to tell Kenyans why this is a moment they shouldn't miss.
Thank you. I think in a country that has very many diverse voices, debates come to be able to offer clarity, and not clarity of personalized sort of discussions, but clarity of issues. And what we're looking at is being able for all Kenyans to come on board and be part of this process. This process is important for many reasons, but the most important one is our democracy. Being able to take our democracy to the next level, and being able to choose leaders who are able to take up issues and not any other issues or any other aspects. And I think that's what debates do. Our hope and aspirations, not as presidential debates, but as Kenyans, is that the candidates will be able to come, will be able to tell Kenyans what they have to offer, and Kenyans can be able to look them in the eye and say, thank you for that. You were able to come on board and tell us on these particular issues, what do you have to offer all of us?
Thank you so much. Clifford Mashoka, the head of the 2022 Presidential Debate Secretariat. I was having a sit down tonight also with Dr. Charles Mbugua. He's a leadership consultant. Thank you, Dr. And Engineer Ruben Liala, he's a political analyst. Thank you, Engineer, for creating time for us. All right. That is the edition of Kenya Decides tonight. We're talking about the 2022 Presidential Debate. I like to look at it as an opportunity for you as a Kenyan to interrogate what your interest is and who among the candidates has the vision that will meet that interest in a controlled, moderated conversation that is devoid of the political noise, the excitement, the drama, and the chaos that we see on the campaign trail. So you lose nothing by just creating time to catch this upcoming presidential debate. It's in July. The dates will be made public as soon as they are clarified. But of course, that is what we were discussing. But remember, as we wait for that, we have our version of gubernatorial debates that we've been running right here on KBC each and every Thursday. So you can also stand by for that and know the person that is vying in your county and what they have to offer you. Thank you once again. My name is Serfine Achieng, signing out from Fairmont, the Norfolk Hotel. Have a good night and God bless.
Top sports attractions on KBC Channel 1. In July, Kenya Morans face off against the DRC, Egypt and Senegal in the FIBA Basketball World Cup African